On this video, I'm going to talk about the relative insignificance of what I'm presenting, because I know that nobody is interested, even though it is very important. And I go on with it in spite of the fact that nobody comes to invite me to talk about this. Nobody let me know, like, hey, I've seen your video. We want to know more about this. We want to have this way of talking. Nobody. And yes, I do have a friend with who I share this. But other than that, there's nobody. And so the embodied language that I'm speaking about is really considered unimportant by everybody. Or, let me put it this way, not important enough to get in touch with me. Or with my friend Annemiek, who also knows how to have embodied language. We don't hear from anyone. And it has nothing to do with us. It has to do with the fact that people, even though they may hear this, even though they may read this, they still do not realize how important it is. And so, although I know very well that you believe this is not important, I'm going to speak about the fact that it is important. And I know you are not convinced. I know you are not going to be changing your mind. Yeah, or whatever, you believe you have a mind. So I guess it would have to be a change of mind for you to make a difference. I don't believe in changing anyone's mind anyway, because I don't believe that you have a mind. So why would I try to change your mind? If anything, I'm just telling you, you don't have a mind. But of course you don't believe me. I understand. So why am I saying this? Am I saying this to you? Well, if you hear me, if you contact me, if you let me know that this matters to you, then I guess I have spoken with you. But if you don't contact me, if I never hear from you, if you just leave this with only listening to this recording, then I am just speaking with myself. And I don't mind. I don't mind. I don't mind speaking with myself. I am okay. I've spoken with myself for more than 45 years. And if it wasn't for the fact that I was speaking with myself and hearing myself speak, I would not have been able to continue with this. Sorry, I've got a teary eye here. Yeah, sometimes that happens. It will go away. But it's really true. If I had not again and again returned to myself, in the sense that, okay, other people were not wanting to hear this, and maybe they wanted it a little bit, they were maybe a little bit interested once in a while, but not a whole lot, never sufficient. So what could I do? I know this is important. I go on with it. Everybody needs to go on with what is important to them. And I go on with this. And I feel so good with it. So I feel really fortunate that I have been able to do this. And I like to record myself. It makes me feel good. And it sort of emphasizes the fact that I'm listening to myself. A recording is interesting, because a recording is also kind of like proof in the sense that somebody else could hear it. And I have done this. I've listened to myself. I've heard myself. I've understood what this is. So yeah, that's why I can talk like this. I mean, it doesn't come out of the blue. I've got a lovely cup of tea here, so I'm also going to drink some tea if it is cool enough. Oops. That's my favorite kind of tea. I drink licorice tea. And as you can tell, my talking with myself is always spontaneous, and it is always about whatever I want to talk about. Yeah. And so I always have my own language, my own embodied language. Yeah. Without any problem. Yeah. And I'm convinced that I would be able to have this with other people as well if they know what this is. Yeah. I mean, you can only have this if you know what this is. And you don't have this because you don't know what this is. So you're missing out on this all the time. And another wonderful aspect of what I'm talking about is the fact that when I speak, I just speak and I say whatever it is that I want to say, and then I'm quiet. Then I'm without language. But being without language is not that I got rid of my words or something like that. It's not that I have expressed something that was in me and that's now out of me. But being without language, actually, it means that language was never even in me. Language was always out of me. I find it so hilarious. There was never any language inside of anyone. Not in me and not in you, but we all believe that we have language inside of us. That's why we believe we have a mind. That's why we believe we think. But there is no language inside of us. That's just how we talk. We say that we think. We say, I have a thought. But who the hell is that has a thought? It's just a word in a sentence that connects with another word. And these words, they are, you can hear what I'm saying. So these words, they are not in me, they're out of me. And I say them, so they come out of my mouth. They were never in my mouth. It's only when the sound comes out that you can hear them. And it's only when I write it that you can read it. Yeah. So the quietness, the silence that I'm talking about is not the quietness from having done something or so, even though it seems that way. Yeah. The quietness that I'm talking about, yeah, is determined by the fact that your embodied language, yeah, it sort of just puts everything into place. And the place of language is outside of me. And so to the extent that I have been affected by language in such a way that I was still, I don't know, buying into this belief that I have language inside of me, uh, yeah, I have to sort of restore myself a little bit. Or anyone would have to sort of just put the record straight and say, like, wait a second, this is all just nonsense. There is no words inside of me. There's no sentence. Of course, there is no language inside of me. So the silence, or the being without language, if you will, because that is what silence is, it is continuous. It's not that all of a sudden you are silent. But, like I said, there are, of course, effects, and there are also, there's your history of conditioning, due to which certain effects keep being triggered. Yeah. And so then you're dealing with that effect again. Then you're dealing again with with a moment of, I don't know, whatever, panic or whatever. You just believe that you are in trouble. You believe that you've done something wrong. You believe that, I don't know, everything goes wrong. But once you talk with yourself, you can hear yourself and say, oh yeah, of course, I wasn't listening to myself. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now I'm listening again. Okay. So that was solved really quickly, right? Yeah, you don't need to waste a whole lot of time. It goes immediately. And that is your language enlightenment. I came across something. I have all these videos on YouTube, and so when you are on YouTube, you cannot avoid seeing other people their stuff. I mean, there's also all this stuff is popping up. So I was looking at it, and I just sometimes you just have a look what's going on, and of course, since I have a history of studying psychology, and since I also have a history, in spirituality, with I don't know, being with a guru, and being trying to meditate and all that kind of stuff. So since I've all that, searching for your real self and all that kind of stuff, since I've gone through all of that, I'm very well aware that there's a lot of people who are, yeah, you could say searching, or who are trying to sort of figure something out about themselves, and but they're just not getting it. They're not getting this. There's people who even they create meetings for other people to sit with them, and supposedly they are I don't know, self-actualized or something. It's all such bullshit. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but of course everybody is just enthralled with other people, and they hope somebody else is going to do it for them. And yeah. And I'm also not going to do it for you either. Yeah. No, but what I mean really is to say is that I was listening to these two guys. These were two former, they were still believing in it. They were disciples of Osho, and I have myself also been a disciple of Osho, and I was a very fanatic one. I was always dreaming about, I don't know, life in the commune, and somehow I've lived in a commune maybe once or twice, but it was really a horrible experience. One time I got thrown out, and the other time what happened? The other time I got into an argument. no, no, no. Well, of course, I believed in it all, and I did that for many years, and it has in certain ways helped me, but but for the most part, it hasn't helped at all. But when I heard these guys speak, and it sounded so pathetic, it sounded so stupid. And I believe I have much more fun with myself on my own, even though and I do not want any followers or so. Don't get me wrong, but even though I don't have any followers, because these guys they have a big following. But yeah, you can't have your cake and eat it too. I mean, I have the real deal, and they don't. This is really true. No, but everybody that is busy with things like consciousness and meditation and all that kind of stuff, they are always very much against language, especially their own language. If they would ever come to the point of hearing themselves, like I listened a little bit to them, and if they would ever hear themselves, they would just hear how terrible they sound, how tediously boring they sound, how totally inauthentic they sound. Yeah, because that is really how people sound when they pretend. Yeah. And of course, other people are enthralled with it, you know, because they sound spiritual and they have all the words to impress people, and they have some explanations that sort of, I don't know, seem to resonate with people. What I say, yeah, if you hear what I say, if you feel what I say, if you listen to what I say, you can feel where I'm coming from. And that's no joke. You can really feel it. But you have to let down your guard. You have to, yeah, let me in, so to speak. Yeah. Stop defending yourself and stop hiding behind whatever it is that you supposedly know better than me, because you don't know this. If you knew this, you would be in touch with me. Yeah. And I mean that quite immediately, right? Because if you know this, you would be in touch with me right now, even though you are where you are and I'm where I am. You don't need to be with me. I don't tell you to come to me and to talk with me or whatever. If you don't want to do that, no, no, you don't want to do that. What can I say? I'm not sitting here waiting for you. It would be nice though if you did, because when you are with more than one, yeah, when we both have embodied language, we're going to say some very good things together. We're That's a good conversation every time. Yeah. It's interesting to explore why I personally believe that people basically don't see any reason to come to me, because I guess there's people that hear this, or there's people that watch this, because I can see that sometimes there's 20 people that have listened to it, you know, and then you go, okay, well, that's great. Somebody has listened to it. That's nice. But I don't hear anything from me. I don't even get like a thumbs up. Nothing. No, yeah, not that I'm waiting for approval, but no, when you see these other videos of other people, you see these long threads of all these people responding. Oh yeah, that's so beautiful. This is so wonderful. It's so important. Oh yeah, I really like what you said. With me, nobody, never. This is like, okay, I guess I guess it's just not happening. But why? Just this interesting question. Why? I believe there's a reason. And the reason is not me. The reason is not that I'm gonna do something bad to you, or I don't know, have a bad influence on you, or I don't know, I say something which is just really horrible or whatever. No, it is because of you. It's because of the person who hears this has an experience which makes it very clear that there is something they don't know. There is something they have completely missed out on. And admitting that you were never yourself with your language, admitting that in spite of all your talking, all your writing, all your listening, all your speaking, in spite of all your books and all your knowledge, you do not have embodied language. That's a big thing. Admitting that you have never had it, or that you have never had it. Of course, you have had a moment of it, but you've never continued with it deliberately, consciously, or skillfully. You didn't know how to do that. So admitting that is true, that you've always been actually talking out of your ass. Yeah, I mean, come on. You've always been mechanically talking, automatically talking, habitually talking. But you've never spoken with awareness. And you've also mechanically listened. When you hear that word listening, you immediately think of you immediately. For you, listening means listening to somebody else. So you've never considered listening to yourself, or speaking with yourself and listening to yourself. You've never done that. So admitting that is a huge realization, a life-altering realization. And maybe you're sort of checking it out, and you say, well, maybe one day I will, maybe one day I'll give him a call, one day I'll send her an email, I'll have a Skype conversation. But even if you did, I mean, it doesn't matter to me. I go on with it anyway. That's why I'm making a recording like this. To let you know that no matter what you do, it doesn't matter to me. I've been doing this for 45 years. I like doing this. So why shouldn't I continue with it? And I suggest to everybody to do whatever they really like to do, whatever they enjoy doing. Continue with it. And why wouldn't you? Yeah, I enjoy this. I enjoy this. Yeah. Nobody gave this to me. I give it to myself. And of course, there's no me and myself and I. This is all just language. The tea is so good. In the recent days, I have spoken a lot about the fact that language is not inside of me. And it felt so good to repeatedly do that because, yeah, I'm just like everybody else. I was also conditioned by the way in which people do not listen to themselves while they speak. And so, yeah, that has been a big part of my life as well. And then at some point in my early 20s, I began to listen to myself. I discovered it then that I could do that. And yeah, that was really something because all of a sudden I realized like, oh wow, this is how I want to talk. Yeah. I have an idea. You know, um, I have a couple of short videos which I made some years ago on which I demonstrate the uh, the gong, and I want to bring out the gong again, and let people hear about the gong, and so that you, as a listener, have yeah, you could say an update on the videos that I have already made about the gong and how that relates to the sound of our voice. So give me a second. I just need to get it out of my drawer here. I just gotta put this away for a moment. Yep, I'll be right back. Okay. Yeah, this gong is something that I found many years ago. That was when I was in my younger years in the Netherlands. I found this gong. Here, I show you. This gong. At this moment, I'm not gonna give you the whole story of how I found that gong, but you just see the gong, and you see also I got a stick with a ball on it. I found this gong one day. You just have to believe me. I found this gong in a box somewhere in an empty attic. I opened the box and I took the gong out, and I took this stick out. I say, hey, a gong. This sound, when I heard that sound, I said to myself, wow, that sounds good. sounds good. And when I said that, I heard my own sound. I heard how I sounded good while I was saying that. And I realized instantaneously that this is how I want to talk. This is how I talk. This is how I sing. This is how I live. Like this. And so when I recognized my own sound due to this gong, I realized, like, wait, I have that sound. I do not need to do anything to make that sound. I have that sound. That is my natural sound. Yeah. I'm calm. I'm just not trying to claim anything or argue about anything. I'm just sounding how I sound like when I'm free of stress, free of fear, free of anxiety. Now, this gong, I realized my sound. I like it when it is like that. But I don't like my sound when it is not like that. Why do I speak with a sound which is not like this? I was wondering. And I said, oh, when I do not speak like this, I am not listening. I am not hearing my own sound. That's why I'm not producing this sound. And I was wondering, what is it that changes my sound? Why am I not listening? I said, wait, this sound of this gong, it at a certain moment it is not my sound anymore. I speak with a sound which I don't want to hear, apparently. And so this is what I did. I got these clothes pins. Do you see this? This is a clothes pin. You can use this to hang clothes on the washing line. And I got myself 3 of these pins. 3 of these pins. Do you see that? And I put these pins on the gong. Do you see that? Do you see that I put the pins on the gong? And I said, well, if I put these pins on the gong, it would change the sound. Boom. Do you hear that? The muffled sound. The sound does not resonate anymore. These pins, I only took 3. I could have done 4, but I just decided 3 is enough. These pins, they represent the 3 reasons. I just came up with that. I said there must be reasons why my voice changes. Why am I not listening? It is clear, right? The sound of the gong is gone. And if you take these pins off, here, you take them off. Here we go. Take them off. Then the sound is back again. So I figured for myself, there must be 3 reasons, 3 habits, 3 whatever causal factors which prevent me from speaking my own voice and hearing my own voice. Because to hear your own voice, you must speak it, right? You cannot hear it if you don't speak it. What are these 3 reasons? I came up with very simple reasons. I always want people to hear what I'm saying. That's the first pin on the gong. Yeah, you want people to listen to you, to what you're saying, to the words you are using. The words, the verbal. You are not experiencing the non-verbal. You are getting verbally fixated. You want them to pay attention to what you say. And so you don't pay attention to how you're saying it. That is the sound of your voice. So that's the first one. I call it fixation on words. We make it seem as if in the conversation, what we say is the most important thing. Second pin, I am trying to get your attention. I'm trying to get other people to listen to me. I want to impress them. I want to convince them. I want to be right. I want them to listen to me. It's the second pin. I am outward oriented, which means I'm not embodying my language. My attention goes to you. My attention goes not to me. I'm going away from myself. Outward orientation. I'm trying to get you to listen to me, but I'm not even listening to myself. Yeah, that's how it is. The third pin on the gong is that I am struggling to get your attention, to keep your attention. And you are struggling with me too, because everybody wants the attention. The whole communication, the whole disembodied language communication, so-called communication, is just one big struggle for attention. And the person who dominates the other the best, the person who is able to manipulate everybody, the person who, I don't know, verbally can fixate everybody to pay attention to this topic or that topic, and to this explanation, this theory or that theory, that person supposedly wins the conversation and is therefore the most important person and therefore the one that we all listen to. So there's only a few people that do all the speaking in embodied language, because most people just end up being listeners. What is this third pin? Struggle. Struggle for attention. The speaker struggles to get the listener's attention, and the listener struggles to, I don't know, to get what the speaker is saying, because everything is a struggle. Yeah. That's why talking is so tiring. Social interaction is so tiring. Unless we talk with somebody about things that really matter to us. And unless, of course, we listen to ourselves, we do not really have a conversation, because we're always trying to one-up each other. We are always trying to outdo each other. Always. In disembodied language, we're always struggling. And we're not only struggling with each other, we're struggling with ourselves. We're struggling between what we feel and what we want other people to know about us, or something like that, or how we want to be seen, how we want to be perceived. So we do a lot of image management, yeah, and we are projecting ourselves out as certain, but perhaps inwardly we're not so certain. We are just completely divided, and we're completely disjointed, and we're disconnected. We're not really connecting with what we're saying. There's a big difference between what we say and how we say it. And this is how we sound with the pins on the gong. Wow. There is no sound left. It is completely flat. The resonance is gone. The life is gone. We are held back. We are uptight. We are closed, defensive, argumentative, vindictive, jealous, all these things. So if I let go of my fixation on the verbal, habit number 1, if I stop being so verbally important, because that is, we are very so pompous with our speech. If I stop that and I just go into my own sound, if I stop being outward oriented, meaning I listen to myself and I embody my language, I speak with the natural sound. I'm not I'm not trying to sound happy. I'm not trying to sound strong. I'm not trying to sound certain. I'm not trying to sound important. No, I'm just sounding like me. I'm not outward oriented. And the third one, I'm no longer struggling. I'm not struggling to get your attention. I'm not struggling to get anyone to listen. And then as I listen to myself, I realize the speaker is the listener. I am the speaker and I am the listener. And of course, these are just ways of referring to the one who is speaking. Yeah? But when I'm not speaking, am I still the speaker? What happened? What happened with the speaker? Oh, he's taking a little break. In any case, that's what we sound like when we have embodied language. We have dropped these 3 habits which prevent us from listening to ourselves. Isn't that beautiful? Everybody can do it. Everybody can begin to recognize these 3 reasons why we do not listen to ourselves while we speak. And once we do that, just methodically, because we can just go down the list, we can say, well, what has it got to do with? Why am I at this moment not liking my own sound? Well, obviously, I guess I am producing a sound which is not the sound that I want to hear. But why don't I want to hear that sound? There's 3 reasons. I'm busy with other people. Why am I not listening to myself? Oh, I want them to listen to me. I was outward oriented. Why was I not listening? It was because I had all these things to say. I have all these reasons. I have all these arguments. I have all these justifications for why I was not listening. Supposedly, I was right, and that's why I was not listening. Yeah. So, okay, outward orientation, I let it go. I take that pin off the gong. And then the struggle, Oh my gosh, I was worried that they were not listening. I was worried that I was not understood. I was worried that they would not accept me. I was worried that I did not fit in. I I was arguing to be right and to prove somebody wrong, or I felt like I was better than the other person, or I felt that the other person was putting me down and pretended as if they were better than, and I was going to teach them a lesson, and all that kind of stuff. So I was struggling. Okay, so I take these pins off the gong, and I hear my own sound, and these pins they come off the gong just like that, and I hear in my own sound I'm reminded of this gong, and I can say, oh yeah, oh my gosh, this gong. If I give myself permission to actually enjoy the sound, it's just lovely to hear that calm resonance disappearing into silence. Yeah, and that is what my conversation with embodied language is doing. It makes me disappear into silence. And this is not anything strange, although it is something that you've never done. It is not something, I say strange, I mean, this is, I would not want to call it anything spiritual because people always make it seem that this is something spiritual. No, this is something existential. This is something that you can experience. And this is not some fantasy. This is not some sort of ideal to be achieved. No, you either do this or you don't. So, this whole spiritual nonsense that we have been busy with has always come in place of this. And this, what I'm talking about here, is a real human interaction. And so, yeah, we are, as mankind, yet to have this conversation. And we have had all these bullshit conversations which has prevented this. And we have also, because we could not have this, believed in all this other bullshit, which then presumably all this religion and the spirituality and all that sort of stuff, philosophy and psychology, all sorts of stuff, we have believed that that would deliver us from not having this, and it didn't. It couldn't. Nothing can replace this. Nothing. And so don't tell me there's many ways to Rome. That is all old school. There's only one way to get this. And that is if you begin to listen to yourself. If you begin to talk with yourself. And if you recognize, like, wow, I sound like that gong. And I can liberate myself from these habits, from this, because of course it has to do with conditioning. Yeah. And I can let go of that conditioning. And so I can stop my disembodied language. I can have embodied language. And then I express my language enlightenment. And everything that gets in the way is going to get out of the way. If you want to have this, that's what's going to happen. Everything that has to do with disembodied language has to go. Yeah. And that's why you don't talk with me. Yeah. Because that's what's going to happen. And so, just another last reflection on this. We pretend to have this, but we're not having this. Many people pretend to have this, but they're not having this. And they are very famous. They've written many books, and they have given many lectures, and oh yeah, they are interviewed and this and that. Everybody wants, they have many followers, but they're not having this. I invite them. You can come and talk with me. And then you will see that what I say is true. You will hear it. And you will, yeah, you will have to admit that it is true that you were not listening to yourself. And you, yeah, maybe you believed you had already advanced so much, you knew so much, and you had studied so much. I was no different. I believed I also knew a lot, but no, when it comes to this, we are all, yeah, we're all new to this. Even I, as the person who has discovered this, I'm still new to this. I'm still getting used to this. So, now, one more sip of tea, and then we're calling it a day. Yeah. It's funny that I still felt like making this recording tonight because I had already made a recording today, and I just felt like it, And so, yeah, very pleased with it. So, one last thing about the silence. The silence that I'm talking about is the silence that can be said. And you can say it again if you want to.